Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my connected franchise on Madden 25 with the Miami Dolphins. We did finish the preseason 3-1. We lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was just an embarrassing game. Had too many fumbles and everything, but I'll get into that later. We did beat the defending Super Bowl champs, the Seattle Seahawks, 26-31. So that was pretty great. It was in their home stadium, so just a lot of fun this preseason. And before I get into the stats, I just want to say, at the time that I'm recording this, it is halftime for the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks in real life. The 49ers are winning 10-3 right now, so that game can go either way. Russell Wilson's really going to have to step up in the second half. Denver did beat the New England Patriots 26-16, so we know for sure that Denver Broncos are going to be in the Super Bowl coming up, so let me know what you guys think about that below. I did get some feedback on my last video, and people did say that they want to see Denver and Seattle, which is who I'm pulling for. I really like Kaepernick, but Seattle's 12th man has just been unreal this year. It would be great to see them go. So I'm going to get into the stats, guys, and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, guys, first thing I want to drop into is our passing game. Tebow did finish with a quarterback rating of 96.2, and he didn't play a lot of downs. He did have a 21-yard long pass. He was sacked twice, 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, but he did have 17 out of his 23 attempts for a total of 73% completion, so that's not bad. He was averaging 7.8 yards per attempt, so he had a great preseason. Like I said, we didn't get to play him a lot. We looked more in Taylor Martinez, but Tebow's looking really good this year. He's progressed a lot, and I'm going to stick with him as my starting quarterback unless things change. I may use Martinez as the starting quarterback if Tebow goes out, but we'll just have to see. He did all right through preseason, but his completion rate was awful, in my opinion. So as you can see here, Taylor Martinez did have a 68.4 quarterback rating with 122 yards. He had 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, which actually come in late in the preseason. It was against the Seattle Seahawks. He did have a 40-yard pass to Andre DeBose, and he was sacked 14 times, so the offensive line is just doing horrible. 62 completions out of 132 attempts with a 46% completion rate. So, Taylor Martinez had a struggling preseason, but, he's a rookie, and he wasn't really all that great when we drafted him, so, overall-wise, so, we can turn him into a great quarterback. So let me know what you guys think about that, and just show you a little bit more of the stats. He played 248 downs compared to Tebow's 43, and he had an alright season. I do have some clips playing in the bottom corner that you can see kind of how he progressed and everything throughout the season, and he struggles a little bit on his short passing. The accuracy's a little off. He overthrows a lot of receivers, and his deep pass, he just doesn't have the arm for it right now. But like I said, all that stuff we can tweak later and really work on him, and he could be a franchise quarterback in no time. Okay, so on to the run game. As you can see, Mike Gillislee, he was a rookie last year. He did have the most attempts for running. He had 59 attempts for 307 yards. He was leading the NFL in the preseason standings for rushing yards and averaging 5.2 yards per carry. And I know he was running against a second string defense, but the gaps are really opening up for him. He was averaging 76.8 carries per game, and he was just looking tremendous right now. So I was kind of wondering, and I was going to come to you guys about this. Do you think Mike Gillislee, after his starting performance, should be the starting quarterback, at least, or running back, for at least the first game or two, and see how he does? If not, we can switch back to Lamar Miller. But he was just looking really good. He did have a few fumbles, and he went out with an injury. But overall, he had a tremendous preseason matchup, and Lamar Miller struggled a lot. He didn't get a lot of attempts, but every time he did, he just couldn't hit those gaps, and it was just a struggling time for Lamar Miller. And Daniel Thomas, who was doing great. He's a tremendous running back, and his jukes and everything like that really help out as far as the run game. But he gets injured too much, and I don't really see the point in keeping him. I'm thinking about, after he's healed up, putting him on a trade block and just seeing what we can get. Maybe get us a defensive tackle or work on our offensive line, because our offensive line is just horrible. And that also goes back to the Mike Gillislee thing. Do you think Mike Gillislee is going to be a great running back with our offensive line running against a first-string defense. So that's what I'm saying, is I just want to give the guy, give him a shot and see where we can go with him. And if, like I said, if he doesn't do good in the first game, or maybe the second game, then we can put Lamar Miller back in there. It's not a big deal. Lamar Miller is just a little bit rated above him, and I think they both are right there with Daniel Thomas. So Daniel Thomas isn't going to be a huge let go for us. And you know, I just want to see what you guys think about it, and let me know. Okay, now I'd like to look at our rookie wide receivers. Andre DeBose had 14 receptions for 239 yards. This guy is a beast on kickoff returns too. He's not a Mike Wallace. He didn't run one all the way back, but he did do a lot in the kickoff return. As you can see, he did have 2 touchdowns. Jeremy Gallen had 0, but he did have 123 yards. Jeremy Gallen did get hurt, but he had a spectacular catch in our first game, and it really just showed what he was capable of. So, you know, hopefully these guys can progress up. I think we've got a tremendous part for second string wide receivers. If one of our wide receivers goes down, then these guys can definitely step up, and along with all the points that we gain each week, you know, we can definitely turn them into superstars by the end of the season. So let me know what you guys think about these. Andre DeBose did have 44 yards after the catch and was averaging about 3.1 yards after the catch. So, you know, he did have the 40-yard reception, which was unreal. I really didn't think they was going to pull that in, but Andre DeBose was really just a big threat for us in the passing game. Also want to look at Mike Wallace. He had 4 receptions in the preseason, averaging 10.5. He had 0 touchdowns, but Mike Wallace is just a beast. He's got the speed. And Brian Hartline and Brandon Gibson really didn't see that much action throughout the preseason. But, you know, that's because we played a lot of second string players, and you know, I'd like to see what these guys can do. I'd like to get the deep ball out there a lot and just see what Tim Tebow's arm can do after the offseason, and you know, with these new sliders and everything, it should be a lot of fun. Okay, so I talked about kick returns, and Andre DeBose, as you can see, he did have 161 yards return, and that's right up there behind Mike Wallace, who had 187 along with his 96-yard kickoff return. So, you know, Andre DeBose, I really think really showed what he can do in the kickoff game, and I'm really looking to see what he can do. Definitely be watching for this guy to be in the backfield with Mike Wallace on kickoff returns, and that 96-yard kickoff return was just unreal. You know, Mike Wallace still showing he's got the speed. We've seen him do it in last season, and even with these tweaked sliders, you know, he shouldn't be able to just run it like that. So, you know, I'd really like to see what both these guys can do in the backfield. Or not backfield, but catching these kickoff returns. So, you know, hopefully we can see DeBose and Mike Wallace do it in the regular season. I'd love to see a 100-yard kickoff return, and so that's just our hopes right now. Okay, so I did talk about our loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was 36-14. You can see the stats here. Offensive rushing yards was 65 compared to our passing yards 224, and you know, they just barely beat us by 4 yards in that. But you know, they just come out there and just laid it to us pretty much. But the turnovers was a big thing. We had 5 turnovers, and as you can see here in the player stats, let me switch it to rushing here. Mike Gillisley did have 1 fumble. Evan Rodriguez had 2. Taylor Martinez had 2, and Rashard Matthews had 1. So it's just, I mean, that's 6 fumbles too many right there, and we just can't be having that. So, you know, it comes back to our offensive line. If Mike Gillisley can't hold on to the ball, should he be the starting running back? He proved it in the game that he could do it. He did get injured in this game. That's why he only had 5 carries, 23 yards, but he was averaging 4.6 before that. So, you know, it goes back just kind of a matter if we should give this guy his chance or not. You know, Daniel Thomas was out this game. We can't risk his injuries, so I really want to let this guy go. And it's just a matter if it's going to be Gillisley or Lamar Miller starting running backs. But, you know, the fumble thing just killed us. If that's going to happen throughout the season, we're going to lose a lot of games. Okay, so I want to get away from the offensive side and just kind of look at what's going on defensively. Deion Jordan, who was the leading sack leader last year, he only had 1 sack in the preseason, along with Jared Odrick, also had 1. Jelani Jenkins from Florida also had 1. And then Ellerby and Philip Wheeler both accounted for 2. But Cameron Wake is still showing that he can do it. 5 years in, you know, he recorded 3 sacks, and Olivier Vernon also had 3 sacks. So, you know, Vernon really stepped up, and Ellerby really stepped up. And I'd just like to see what can happen. You know, Jelani Jenkins, who's just 1 year in, he also had 1 and matched Deion Jordan for his amount of sacks for the preseason. So, you know, hopefully Deion Jordan can come in and have a tremendous season like he did last year. And if not, I just don't see us winning a lot of games without him. But, you know, it was just a preseason. He didn't play a lot of snaps, so we should be able to see a lot better from Deion Jordan in the regular season. Okay, so I know I've talked to you guys a little bit about the new sliders and that it was and the new time limits and everything, so and how it's going to match up with realistic stats. As you can see, the Seattle Seahawks and the Miami Dolphins, you know, these are the only 2 teams that's progressed this week, because if I advance the week, it's going to go ahead and put us in a regular season. So, as you can see, the total yards gained, very, very close. We did beat them just a little bit, but they did have us in total offensive yards. Passing yards, you know, they just barely beat us there. Rushing yards, barely beat us there again. We matched in the same points per game. Passing touchdowns, they had 2 more than us, but rushing touchdowns, we have 4 more than them. And first down, 77-71. So, you know, the offensive stats and everything look really great compared to, you know, last year where Tebow had like 900 yards passing after playing half a season. And that's why I wanted to get away from that so we could get to the newer game style and really just show everybody what these sliders can do and how it's going to make a difference. As you can see, we did give up 944 passing yards, and the Seahawks gave up 965. So, you know, our passing defense isn't as bad as it used to be. Our rush defense might have slipped just a little bit, 417 yards compared to their 377. And they scored a total of 101 points compared to our 75. So low scoring games for us. And, you know, 11 sacks to 13 sacks, 4 fumbles, and 3 interceptions. So, you know, I think these new sliders and the increased game time is really going to make for some interesting gameplay, and I'll be able to break it down throughout the week on statistics and everything like that, and it'll actually make sense compared to last year. Like I said, you know, your starting quarterback having like 800 yards passing after playing half a season, and Taylor Martinez set that record pretty much in the preseason. So these new sliders are going to be a lot of fun. I'm enjoying them a lot, and, you know, it's making it for tougher games, which should be a lot of fun for you guys to watch. Okay, so just a few last minute things as I flip through the top stories here. As you can see, Buffalo Bills are changing to the are moving to Sacramento, so that's something we got to keep an eye on. We won't really notice any of those changes till next year. But also the St. Louis Rams moved to Houston, and they are now the Houston Oilers. So if you guys see that, that's who it is. I had to actually go in and check and see that Sam Bradford was the starting quarterback for them, and that's how I realized it was the Rams. So, you know, a lot of changes this year. Peyton Manning did retire, and Ryan Tannehill and Eli Manning's injuries last year ended up being career-ending. So we won't see Ryan Tannehill anymore until I switch over to the Xbox One. Eli Manning is also gone, so we got both Manning brothers out. Brandon Spikes, who you guys might not really know, he played for Florida, you know, back in the day, and then graduated with Tebow, and then he played for the New England Patriots, and then actually met him in the New York Giants game, and, you know, that's who he plays for now, is the New York Giants. He's one of my favorite players, so I got to keep an eye on him. He definitely made a huge stand in that game. And Eric Decker, who is a tremendous wide receiver, he was let go by the Broncos, and he is now in Detroit. So he's right up there with Megatron. So I definitely see their passing game being tremendous, and just seeing what all they do together. And because I mean, Megatron's just a beast receiver. I'd love to have him here, and so it should be a lot of fun to see that. So that's pretty much all I've got, guys. I'll get in more to the players and everything in the next video, because I'm going to be breaking down the new draft class and everything like that, so it should be a lot of fun, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. And just real quick, I see it right here, draft depression. Aaron Murray goes down and is out for at least 4 weeks, so, you know, we're not the only team that's facing a lot of injuries, but it should be a lot of fun to see how everything turns into throughout the season, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you guys for sticking with me this long, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Peace.